It's a great pleasure to then welcome our third perspective from today's session, which is Cédric Gonin. You probably know him. He's been in the industry quite a while, and he's a bit of a celebrity. If you could stand on the purple target, that's the hot seat.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Cédric.
Thank you. So good morning, everyone. So I'm Cédric. So I'm as you say, in the industry for a long time. I was before in charge of the wholesale for the mobile operations, roaming enablers and messaging. And I switched to API 1 year ago for this new challenge and to move forward on the telco monetization. So just to talk about network API, I said, Victoria, we are doing telco API for a long time, but it was not structured and not standardized. So it means that developers asked to have different way of addressing API per telco. So it was a mess for developers to have something consistent. So this is why it was not so much developed. At the opposite way, telco were more reluctant to open too much their network to the developers. So it was not ramping up as expected. So GSMA developed the Open Gateway initiative 2 years ago with many operators joining, and Orange is part of them. And Camara is a way to standardize the telco API and to have a common way to address the API, whatever the telco, and to be sure that for developers, they don't have to take care about different process with different telco to have something uniform to be addressed. We are seeing network APIs in different categories and main purposes. So we have one big one, which is about identity and anti-fraud. It's not the biggest one, but it's, let's say, the immediate one we can rely on because there is a lot of use cases which are, for most of them, relying on SMS today, at least for number verification or this kind of use cases. But you can also complete this portfolio with SIM swap and other APIs. So we will see that it could be interesting for developers and for application providers to rely on a trusted partner, which is the operators, and who, better than the operators, can know, for instance, what is the phone number used in a device. But we are extending to new use cases, which has a potential new opportunities of monetization, like network capabilities. This one is really, as opposed to identity and anti-fraud, you have a lot of competition. You have the telco solution, but you can have passkeys, you can have OTT solution. We will come back to this later. But on network capabilities, operators are totally in a position where nobody can do it on their behalf. So this is where the operators can work and can propose something valuable to the ecosystem, and there is no OTT of network capabilities. When we are talking about connectivity, there is no over-the-top, by the way. And geolocalization is a bit different because on geolocalization as well, you have plenty of competition because you can rely on GPS, you can rely on IP address, you can rely on different mechanisms, but the operator one has some advantages in terms of trust. But even if it's less accurate than the GPS positioning, it's more trustable because you cannot fake your GPS signal and you cannot use a VPN to fake your IP address. So on the identity and anti-fraud, I said one of the biggest use cases is number verification as a replacement on SMS today. You know, the one-time password PIN code verification for number. But we are extending with SIM swap, KYC match, tenure. We have many use cases who are completing this portfolio of identity and anti-fraud. So if you want to develop an application having some identity and anti-fraud issues, it's good to rely on the operators part because you have some use cases who are only provided by the operators, like SIM swap, for instance. Network capabilities, the big use will be on the quality and demand. It's a way to be able to have a better connectivity. Quality on demand is having a premium quality of service on top of 5G, for instance, or how to use a dedicated slice. For the IoT business, for instance, it could be interesting, or for any use cases requiring specific quality on the network on crowded area, for instance, for autonomous vehicle or things like that. So it's one of the biggest parts when we are looking at different studies about where the value is for operators and telco APIs. Most of it is in these network capabilities because we are back to the telco DNA, which is basically connectivity. And geolocalization, as we say, you have different use cases. verification of location, retrieval, geofencing, and population density is also interesting because this is something we can provide, and we have very interesting use cases relying on population density provided by the way users are using the networks. So today, the beginning of the story is coming on the identity and anti-fraud use cases, which are the most simple to implement, and we are addressing an existing use cases. Most of it is a replacement and moving from the SMS to the API, plus new solution on top of it. And we are moving on the pure telco use cases with quality on demand and location, but which are more complicated to implement because there is some work to do on the network. And secondly, as you were discussing, Kevin, the business model is still searching on this part of the business. For identity, it's quite easy. It's almost a business model which is one price per request, basically, to have a smooth transition from the messaging to the API. But on the quality on demand and location, different business model has to be addressed, and we are still working with the industry to make it standard. So if we come back on this specific SMS and API transition, most of use cases are using SMS today for the identity because it's ubiquitous. It's easy, universal, and the API, even if it's better, we don't have the coverage yet. It's typically a use case when I said, Victoria, we need more than 80% of the coverage in a country to start to implement an API-based solution on this. Because when you are a bank or whatever player you are, if you want to address your customer base, you don't care if your customer base is a customer of Orange, of Vodafone, of SFR, whatever. You don't care. You just want to have a universal solution addressing 100% of your own customer database. So it must be operator agnostic. So this is why standardization is important, but coverage and footprint is as well very, very important. And we'll see that we have some issue, especially with the small operators. We were talking about the investment by operators. So big operators are investing in the API, but when you are a small operator with no wholesale nor B2B business, going to the API, you have to questioning yourself twice before moving. So, especially in countries where you have a lot of MVNOs and small operators, it's more complicated to get these 80% or 90% coverage compared to countries where you have only 3 or 4 big players. On the side, it's a video, just an illustration about the fraud on SMS today. So coming back to the T-shirt of Jason, it's clearly you have a lot of AIT, and this one is a bot where you can just ask for a number and to get a fake number, for temporary fake number on a Telegram bot, and you play number verification, and the bot is replaying on your behalf, and you get the access. So it's really easy to fraud a number verification today. Or play a PIN code on a device which is not the real device you want to make it. So number verification is, you have a lot of fraud. So this is where API can have something more trustful to the industry and easier to use with a better success rate. So now let's back into the business model and what are the challenges for the operators. Today, you have a lot of SMS, especially international SMS, which is used for these identity use cases, number verification, one-time password, two-factor authentication, all this kind. It's transforming. So it's transforming partially in SMS access, which is continuing to use a messaging solution, but with the same caveats as SMS, where you can play a PIN code on another device. But it's certainly transforming a lot to mail and to OTT. You certainly face in your daily life that now, when you are doing a one-time password or two-factor authentication, systems are proposing you to switch to a mail verification. If they just want you to check that you are the right one, they send you to your email address, and email address is replacing your phone number as a verification. So it's one use case which is moving to mail, and by moving to mail, we are losing all the potential monetization for telcos and for all our stakeholders. And the other one is the OTTs. The OTTs, typically, you have Microsoft Authenticator, Google Authenticator, Facebook, whatever, and it's moving as well on these actors. And by moving on this actor, you are also losing some monetization. So it means that the whole cake of SMS, which is used for authentication, will decrease by switching to other technology which are not telco driven, which are not telco monetized. So this is why it's very important for us as telco to speed up on the number verification by API plus the benefits we can provide with SIM swap and others to catch this remaining value, because all the big ones are removing SMS from their vision. So if we are not, as operator, telco industry altogether, able to propose an alternative which is better but similar to what they knew with SMS in terms of footprint, in terms of price, in terms of easy to use, we will definitely lose the game. And it's important for us to start with this, because once we put a step in this number verification, we can start to monetize API and show like a chicken and the egg, so that we are able to do something as a telco, and then we can develop all the other use cases, who are the most important, because we are we are the only one to provide this. But if we are missing the first step, we have a big risk of forgetting the following step after. So this is why it is very important for us to be successful on the first use cases, to initiate the pump. It will take a long time, because having a localization and QoD on networks, it could take 2 years, 3 years from now to have something consistent at a country level. But if you are not initiating the pump with the first use cases, we will definitely lose the energy on the whole. So regarding the ecosystem, just quickly panorama, we have many actors. So you have the industry with GSMA, Camara, GM Forum, who are doing the standardization. You have, of course, all the aggregators playing here, and we will come back to Aduna, because Orange, we are also a founder of Aduna. Vendors, Nokia and Ericsson, you see, are very involved. Ericsson with Vonage, Nokia with Rapid API. So they are really interested because of the next use case, not for the authentication one, but for all the telco use cases and on connectivity. Marketplace, because this is where the developers are going to develop their backend of application, and they want to find the same telco API on the portfolio of the marketplaces. And of course, the telco operators who are working together within the GSMA to make the ecosystem evolve. So one of the major steps we had last year was the creation of Aduna. I was working last summer in the setup of this joint venture. So it's a joint venture between the main operators to create an acceleration vehicle. Aduna is an aggregator. It is a specific aggregator which purpose is to accelerate the adoption by connecting as much operators as possible to drive a common roadmap and to be sure that we can expose to the market something quickly. So we have Dutch Telecom, we have Orange, you have Vodafone, you have Telefonica in Europe, plus the 3 US operators, NTT, T-Mobile, and Verizon, who are part and funding members. And you also have some Telstra and other actors who are playing with Aduna. Of course, any operator are welcome to Aduna to have a commercial agreement with them to expose their API. And the option for Aduna is to aggregate these as full countries and to expose to CPaaS provider, to market, to digital brand, or to other aggregators. Aduna is not addressing the B2B. Aduna will not go to a bank to sell something. Aduna will just act as an aggregator to accelerate the market. So it's an association of operators to have something in common to propose a global footprint as soon as possible. In terms of models, in terms of business model and the way we work at Orange, so we have created a dedicated business unit called Orange LiveNet, which is focusing 100% on the API use case at the group. So we are managing the API exposition for the whole group. So what we do is that we are connecting the different affiliates of the group in our 26 countries. You see on the bottom, we are providing standalone APIs like number verification, SIM swap, quality on demand, and we are aggregating them at Orange level. Once we aggregated them, we are exposing those API on marketplaces for hyperscalers, Google, Amazon, and Azure. But we are also feeding the CPaaS providers, Infobip, Twilio, and Aduna, of course. but we also expose directly on our developer portal. So we are able to address indirectly through aggregators and hyperscalers, but we're also addressing directly the digital brand and the developers through our portals. And what we are expecting to do as well is to buy back the full country coverage from our aggregators partners and to build B2B use cases to sell on the retail side on the B2B. So on the B2B, we will be able to propose solutions for banking, for a vertical like transportation or whatever. So it's a two-way business model. One way, we aggregate, we have a wholesale business model to feed the industry with the component and the standalone API. And on the other side, we are aggregating full countries and we provide B2B use cases. So here is the catalog of API we are working today. I think we can develop during the panel. I will not take any more time, but focus on everything regarding the identity first. And now we are working on, we are launching population density, and we are working on the location and the network in different countries. Thank you.